All right, so it's 5 past. I suppose we can begin now. So welcome everyone. This is a special space. We are here with is it Meile DVPN and with Sentinel. So today's space, yeah, we're going to be going over privacy preserving infrastructure, uh, VPNs, DVPNs, and privacy preserving payments for services. So welcome.
Hi, good to be here. Well, it's going a little sad this morning, as a lot of you may know that the Samurai devs are probably sitting in a jail cell right now. So it's a heavy-hearted. I think because of their implementation of privacy on Bitcoin, I think that's what highlights having privacy on the protocol level even more so important.
Absolutely agreed. And hey, Sentinel, is there a speaker there today or just joining the space?
Yes, hello. I'm continually infuriated by X's UI for joining as speakers. It's taken me 6 minutes to join, but I'm here. Yeah, I'll let uh, Meile DVPN kind of lead things. I'm just here as for emotional support.
Right. Um, awesome. So I guess yeah, we could begin with some introductions. If anyone's not aware of what zechub is, we are essentially we're an education hub for Zcash and the wider privacy technology ecosystem. So we work closely with other projects outside of Zcash like Namada and Penumbra. We have a wiki site which gives people guides on how to use Zcash safely and more detailed like guides and documentation, how to run your own node, like wallet server, etc. We also host a bounty program, so we invite contributors from all around the world to contribute to Zcash and other privacy projects and earn Zec. And so, yeah, with that, we I think it was Vito that reached out to Melee and requested that they look into BTC Pay server, um, which has recently upgraded to support Orchard. So this is the newest Zcash shielded pool. Um, and yeah, we have Freaknik from Melee. Welcome. Could you give us an introduction?
X spaces are extremely painful, aren't they, sometimes? If you want me to give a bit of an intro for Sentinel while Freaking It comes up, I'm happy to do so.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Filler content. That's exactly what I'm good at. So, yeah, I go by Seventh, or a human name as Tom. I one of the founder members of the Sentinel Growth DAO. I've been in with kind of working with Sentinel for quite a while now. So I come on spaces and kind of go through. So anyone who doesn't really know what Sentinel is, we are a layer one for bandwidth. And so anyone around the world can provide their bandwidth to power deep-in apps or AI apps, basically built on Sentinel. So we have two networks essentially. One is powering kind of data scraping. That's our newest kind of offering for Sentinel Scout, which is using kind of completely open data on the internet. And the power behind that is residential IPs who are a lot better at getting around kind of mass blocks. And kind of what we've kind of started off with was a decentralized VPN kind of network. So again, people can contribute their bandwidth to that, and we provide a SDK for people to kind of plug into. So we've got a number of different people who have been developing their own VPN or DVPN applications kind of on top of that. Mila are one of the kind of math nodes are like one of the OGs who kind of started with us, and kind of they're a bit special in the case that they've kind of really pushed a boundary on kind of what they can accept in terms of payment. And obviously being here is just a testament to that. It's kind of, they're always looking to kind of what do people, what communities want to be able to use to kind of pay to kind of stay kind of more private on the network level, as opposed to kind of the individual financial level. I can see he's a co-host now, so hopefully that works for to get him going.
Yeah, if you guys can hear me now, okay. My I had a problem with my Brave browser on my main desktop. It wouldn't, first off, it wouldn't let me log into X for like quite a while. So I had to upgrade Brave, and then it still wouldn't let me log in. So anyway, it just canceled out on my desktop. So I'm on my laptop now. So hopefully everything is okay. But I think we were doing introductions when it cut out on me. So I'll start by saying that I started back in crypto a long time ago. Initially, I was going to mine Bitcoin in 2011. A friend suggested it as a way to make extra money, but I didn't really get started in crypto, like developing or anything like that, until about 2020. And that's when I found Monero and Zcash and other privacy coins. And in 2021, a known influencer in the Monero community, Cecilia Brimmer, suggested Sentinel as a way to earn income, because at the time in around November 2021, Sentinel was doing incentives for people to run DVPN nodes on their network. So I launched my first DVPN node on Sentinel in November, the end of November 2021. And then I started looking at the different apps they had. They had 2 different mobile apps, but they had nothing for desktop. So I just started developing my own desktop application on my own without any input from any Sentinel team or any community members. I just wanted something for myself. And the team at Sentinel saw it and reached out to me and asked me to develop a full-fledged GUI application for desktops. So I wrote up a grant proposal, and in pretty much May of 2021 is when it was accepted, and that's when Meile was born. And so it's been 4 years since I've been working with the Sentinel team, and they've been completely supportive of my efforts. We launched 2.0 version last year, which was a major UI overhaul. And that also included payment gateways, because I developed a cross-chain payment API that Meile relies on, and it enables people to pay with coins outside of the Sentinel or the IBC infrastructure. So our first implementation was Monero. That was the goal, was to get the Monero community to use these, and it expanded ever from there. So we started implementing Firo Spark payments, Pivx shielded payments, Pirate Chain, and then Vito from the Zechub community reached out to me a week ago and was like, we'd like, I see that you support Zcash, but it's only T addresses only, and that was through the Now Pay integration. So we updated our BTC Pay server to include shielded payments, and I'm really glad they reached out to me, because I had promoted the Zcash payment gateway, but I didn't get any users. So hopefully this will get more adoption. And it's always nice. I am a big proponent of privacy payments for private internet DVPN access, because it just they work hand in hand. It only makes sense to do that. So I'm really happy the zechub community reached out to me and had me expedite this payment integration. And I look forward to supporting my role in the Zcash community much further as time goes on. But yeah, we try to break the boundaries of what we can accept and reach out to the different privacy communities and integrate them as much as we can. So.
Hey, sorry. I think I had my hardware device muted. But yes, you guys are at the forefront of accepting shielded Zec. There are really not too many service providers that accept native Zcash payments. And so, yeah, very well done. Maybe we could dig into exactly what Meile is. Yeah, so we are all familiar with what a VPN is. And so I think this is like when you have your device and you're routing all your traffic to a centralized kind of server, right? It's encrypted, but it's all being routed through like one company. So how does a DVPN work? What advantages does it have over like a centralized provider?
So decentralized is a little different because in like your Molvad or your IVPN, one company controls all the exit nodes, right? So in a decentralized service, it's community run nodes. So anybody can spin up a node either at their house or on a data center and can register it on the Sentinel blockchain. And once it becomes active on the Sentinel blockchain, it can be connected by any client applications, even in a terminal client application. You can connect through that way. So these community run nodes are ran by a whole bunch of. I think there's over 100 different community members that run nodes. I think there's about 1,500 nodes right now on the Sentinel network. So you get a lot more selection. I think there's about 80 countries. You have more choice, and the thing about decentralized VPNs is there's no central authority in control of the exit nodes or in control of the applications either, because there's many white labels on Sentinel. So if your experience with one application isn't that great or it seems too centralized or whatever, you can migrate to another one. There's Norse Labs that is on. They do most of the major development on Sentinel. There's Vault, which is another one which takes input of your data, makes you control the data, and they also have an integration with Sentinel, a free DVPN. So there's a lot of choice in a decentralized VPN compared to your centralized alternatives. And the most crucial aspect of a decentralized VPN is that there's no central authority, right? So all the nodes, if there's a tyrannical government or something, and they're pinpointing a user that they want to, oppress, and they can't reach out to a centralized company to monitor the nodes. And this could also be in any country as well, that if you're a political dissident or whatever, the decentralized nodes, the total accumulation of them cannot be compromised. So it's impossible to compromise every DVPN node. And what I also mentioned on Sam Bent's Twitter yesterday was he mentioned that he mentioned something about Tor VPN and how they dynamically load the node list. And I said, well, in a decentralized VPN as compared to a centralized, the node list is always changing. So it makes it extremely hard to censor all the nodes on a decentralized network because the IPs are always changing. Some people, I myself, use reverse proxies to hide the exit IP from the RPC commands on the Sentinel blockchain. So if you query a node on Sentinel, you can get the exit IP, but a lot of node runners use a reverse proxy so the exit IP is hidden from the general public. And that's a really good tool. Some people have used Cloudflare for that as well. So there's a lot of options in a decentralized network, and it makes it censorship resistant. We've integrated, or Sentinel has integrated censorship resistant protocols such as V2Ray, which has proven to work in restrictive countries like Iran and China. We recently amended the V2Ray integration to break up the packets of the handshake. So we have an Iranian user who's very active in the community, and it's called fragmentation. It breaks the handshake up into more than 3 packets. And so that has proven to work in Iran, and we have that as default in our Meile application. So there's a lot more choice you have in a decentralized network. It's censorship resistant, and it just proves to be more welcoming to citizens in oppressed countries.
Yeah. And so with like decentralized VPNs, I assume that they become more censorship resistant the more people run nodes. And so I'm glad we have Sentinel. What's the incentive structure for someone to like spin up a node on Sentinel and provide the service?
Yeah, I mean, great question. It's the same. It's essentially like Tor, except the incentive for contributing your bandwidth is you're rewarded in the token that is sold via on the RBC network. So for most people that can be P2P, but you can actually choose what currency you want to accept if you want to get extremely specific on that. So it's like Tor, except you'll get paid. And speaking of Tor, I want to kind of divert it from there, because obviously on the kind of network kind of level of privacy, when you're using a VPN or DVPN or however, both I use them as interchangeable because that's the easiest way to kind of onboard people. When you're using your wallets like your MetaMask or your Phantom, it says in the I will get to the Zcash once. They do say that they log your IP. So they're linking already any kind of activity on there regardless of there. So having like a network level privacy is extremely crucial. Now, I think it's Zashi. The Zashi app allows you to kind of enable Tor in the settings, so you can like route your connections through the Tor network. So kind of
yes, it does.
enhances your transaction privacy. Now, the thing with Tor, it's amazing, but it is slower, right? It can be painfully slow. I've not used Zashi. I am aware of it, and I don't know how kind of fast that works through, but something what you could use is a DVPN, which is going to be faster than Tor, but I mean that's not taking away from the Zashi app. It's a cool feature, and I think everyone really needs to, if they want to. I think again, I always kind of put privacy down to like lame examples and analogies, like the idea that you have like curtains in your house, right? They're not there to stop people breaking through the window. They're there to primarily, I mean, stop the light coming through if you want it, or stop people looking in. There's just like there's certain actions individuals can take to kind of improve their privacy. I mean, I don't like the idea of broadcasting any transactions onto a wallet. I mean, if I can stop that, I would. I mean, I close my curtains. I don't want people walking in and walking past my window and looking in if I lived on like a street kind of thing. But yeah, that's I thought I'd try and derail the conversation and say to everyone to download Zashi app is a is a good shout.
Yep. Yeah, that's something people often like misunderstand. So there is on-chain privacy and there is network layer privacy. And so Zcash provides like best in class for on-chain privacy. None of the receiver, sender, or amounts are like publicly visible on chain or even published to the chain at all when you use like a fully shielded transaction. But your interactions, like when you're fetching or submitting transactions to the network, like to a Light Wallet D server, it will be through like a regular internet connection if you're not using a VPN or a DVPN or Tor. So Zashi is great because it like natively provides Tor within the wallet, but there are plenty of other Zcash wallets which don't have this integration with Tor. So yeah, try out these services. They're really good. Privacy is security, and so yeah, think of this as like another tool in your toolbox to like supplement the privacy that Zcash provides.
Yeah, like
Um,
on your point about privacy and security, I always say, if you can run a VPN or a DVPN on your router, OpenRoute or another open source router, because it protects all your devices, right? So the security aspect is that you wouldn't walk down a busy street in a downtown city and tell anybody whereabouts you live, right? So when you're on the internet and you're not protected by a VPN or a DVPN, you're literally broadcasting your location to a bunch of random people. So if you do a voice over IP call with some stranger on Telegram or whatever, they can see your IP address, and that could allow them to possibly hack your local network and get in your computers. Or you could run a DVPN and shield yourself from that important information that can identify you to a bunch of random strangers on the internet, to a bunch of random businesses as well.
yeah. Okay. So like maybe just to jump back a couple of minutes, someone said that Melee is actually like really fast. It's faster than Tor. We've spoken with Nim before, and they have this kind of like multi. It uses 5 hops, I suppose, for your data packets. But it kind of like slows down the network speed. Does Melee? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Does it have like a multi hop setup, which we could use to kind of increase the level of privacy?
Yeah, so the multi-hop is important for big privacy heads because when you use a traditional VPN or DVPN, that server or that node knows where you're coming from, right? So if you use the 2-hop or more, then the original node doesn't know where your exit IP is, and the exit IP doesn't know where the original connection came from. So it does, multi-hop definitely does reduce the trust barrier substantially. We don't have multi-hop right now. It's been in the works since about March. I have some code base for it. It would be specific to Melee. It's not at the protocol level on Sentinel. Sentinel has wanted to develop it for some time, but we just haven't got around to it, I guess. So the one thing about NIM is I have heard that the multi-hop with 5 layers is I'm part of their Telegram group and everything, and I've heard it gets really slow, and they suggest only using it for not browsing the internet, but using it for like transactions in your wallet. They say broadcasting. They say some messaging is fine. They have like kind of limits of what they expect to use it. And I know NIM is working to improve their speed on their multi-hop protocol. I've been tossed and turned with NIM for a while because I studied the NIM code base back in 2023. I went through the whole Rust code base just to understand it, and I'll tell you something. It's extremely well written. Uh, they're a bunch of academics. The whole NIM group is a bunch of ivory tower people in Europe, and they're very intellectual people. And you can just see that if you know anything about Rust code, you can just see that in their code. It's very well documented too, which I was like, wow, geez, I don't even document my code. But yeah, it's just they had some. I'm not trying to put NIM down because they are in the Cosmos ecosystem, and so they're a friend of ours. But they had some issue with well, issue to me anyway, with KYCing a lot of users back a few years ago. And so that kind of is a sore spot with me, and I've brought it up with their team members before. Um, but I think their level of privacy is very strong, and I don't argue against it. But I think for basic security and privacy needs, Sentinel is much faster, and it works. I think it works a lot smoother. Um, and of course, I am biased, but that is my experience with both protocols. But NIM is definitely a very forefront of a nice mesh networking uh, protocol.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned KYC. This is a prescient topic. I'm sure Tom will be aware. There's something called I think it's the Online Safety Act, which passed in the UK, and recently they've kind of pushed towards like trying to require anyone that's accessing the internet to use like an ID, that's accessing a VPN to use an ID. And so yeah, I think they also found that MPs in Parliament, the same people that passed this, were using VPNs whilst in Parliament. There's kind of a I don't know, asymmetry of freedom that's happening in the UK, where some people are allowed to use like privacy preserving tools, but the general public isn't. Um, so yeah, is there any accounts? Like, how do accounts work in Melee? Do I need to sign up with an email, name? What information do you require?
We don't require any information, so anybody, it's permissionless, right? So all you have to do is create a wallet, which is a Sentinel wallet in the app, and that grants you access to the Sentinel network. So the one thing is we offer direct node sessions, which is you can use the native coin P2P or IBC coins like Atom or Osmosis to pay directly to nodes. So this is the really strong point, because even if something happened to us, you know, I don't know, my team dies or whatever, Meile will still work with direct sessions because it talks directly to the blockchain. There is no centralized component at all in Meile for this. And then we offer plans, which is where you can pay with Zech and other privacy coins. Plans require management on our side because we have to manage the nodes that are on the plan, and we have to pay out to the nodes. So we pay the nodes in advance, and those nodes become selected in the plans that users that subscribe to the plan can connect to. So plans require management, but direct node sessions is completely decentralized, and will always continue to work so long as Sentinel doesn't do any major upgrades to the protocol level. But I don't think they'll do that for another year or so. We just had a major upgrade in October, and it was a lot of work to get everything functioning again on my end. As we are a small team, I have 2 community members, part-time developers, and myself full-time. But like you asked, there's no email requirement. There's no way we can ID people, because all you need is a Sentinel wallet, and that you can create a wallet on your machine with the Sentinel CLI terminal application and import it into Meile. So there's no sign up or registration or anything.
Thank you. Yeah, Tom, did you have something to add there? I noticed you unmuted.
Yeah, I was just going to laugh in a ironic agreement regarding the current state of kind of individual privacy in the UK. I've said this a couple of times before, and people probably agree and kind of relate that the average age in the House of Lords, where they're currently debating to an amendment to one of the bills, the average age is, I think, 70 or 71. So you've got these people who kind of, I'm sure there's very learned people there, but they're essentially loads of boomers kind of debating what's best for the young ones, really, which is it's just completely bizarre. And yeah, one of the things is to age verify the people actually using the VPNs app. And I mean, this is from a government that has routinely like left massive amounts of data on hard drives and left them on trains. I mean, do we? And I think the third party who actually runs the verification process, from when I looked at it and some other research looked at it, is like a Cyprus-based third-party teams involved, and it's just sketchy that you just offloading this data. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, people have probably seen the memes as well, where people are using like faces from video games and getting past the verification. It's just all it's just bonkers that they're doing it this way. Ultimately, we all know it's for control, right? I mean, they, under the guise of saving the kids or saving the world or saving the trees or whatever it is, which I'm sure are very noble things. The Windscribe CEO on a space that we did kind of last week kind of really pressed home the point of the idea of obviously government overreach, and how like parents should be a lot more involved in this kind of stuff to kind of stop their children going on content that is deemed inappropriate. We don't need these like massive laws coming in to kind of stop you. And I mean, this is just, it's not a hot take at all. It's just basic common sense kind of take, which is again completely been blown out of proportion, and kind of forces people to kind of start using tools like VPNs and DVPNs, and starts using, like, looking into. That's probably part of the reason of the massive kind of Zcash surge back into like the zeitgeist narrative in the past kind of year to 6 months, because it's always been there. It's always kind of been used by like people, but it's really kind of thrust in and kind of shown why it's important, because we don't want to lose these like basic things. We don't want to be like screened and audited with everything that you're on. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You just don't want that kind of scrutiny all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say most of the UK's like the public's private information is probably at a bus stop or in a taxi or at a train station. um, yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned um, like the change in how I think it's kind of regressing. So at one point, encryption, like in the 90s, was deemed like dangerous. It was deemed like an arm, not a firearm, but a munition in the US, and they tried to remove it and get rid of it. And then it was fought against by the cypherpunks, and it became like a standard. It became like a must-have by government officials, and nowadays HTTPS is like used everywhere. But it seems like there's pushback against encryption of people's finances when it suddenly like once it's on chain, you're not allowed to have encryption. And now they're trying to enforce like IDs to use encrypted online traffic. Um, and so one solution that has come up is ZKID. I think the at least in the UK, the government is planning, I think, to use some form of zkID for their uh, digital ID. But it's a bit of a question. Like, in my opinion, I think you shouldn't like even though zkID is very useful, it allows you to prove your identity without revealing first name, last name, and address, um, and like nationality and work status or whatever. Um, I don't believe it should be used in situations where an ID wasn't necessary in the past. And so, yeah, I kind of feel that even though, let's say they say we have zkID and you can use this to access a VPN, I still think that's um, it's not a good move. It's not a good way for society to progress, um, because you're still requiring people to it provides the architecture for misuse in future. So even though you trust the government today, maybe in 5 years this moves to like to take a train to a different city. Suddenly you need to prove that and it could progress into like a social credit system where the government has points on your zkID card, and if you say something bad online, um, like if you insult someone or something, then you have minus 5,000 social credit points. So yeah, it's something we should remain cognizant of and yeah, really think about. Do you have any thoughts on this, Freaknik?
Yeah, so I'm very weary of. I mean, the technology behind zkID is good if we're like, say, I mean, you're never going to have a Coinbase where you don't KYC, right? That's just that we've gone too far down that hole that we're not going to dig our way out of it. And so something like zkID for Coinbase to prove your identity and that you are who you say you are, that makes sense. But making the rest of the internet permissioned, like to use a DEX, I've said this in my channel that Google developed a zkID API about a year and a half ago. They published it, and my thought on it was that this is going to be pushed to access large portions of the internet and making what was once a free range freedom of speech permissionless service to access your internet will become permissioned. I think that's the route a lot of governments are going to go down because not ideally, but what they intend for the majority of society is to not have anonymity online. They think anonymity is a problem because when somebody speaks out against an MP or the government, they don't know who it is, right? So they want to know who is saying malicious things or speaking against a predefined narrative. And I think ZK really um, makes that work a lot faster for governments. And I hope there's a lot of pushback on digital IDs. I subscribe to a lot of channels that have protests in London and all that stuff against digital IDs, because once you have a digital ID, everything that you do online can be funneled to one single identity, and that's a really scary outcome for censorship.
Agreed. And so here we come to the solution, which obviously everyone's used it. Sentinel still has to try Zashi, but Zcash is permissionless, censorship-resistant privacy. So anyone can download a Zcash wallet. Anyone can run a Zcash full node, or even their personal light wallet server. If you scroll down on the zechub page, you'll see that someone recently started their full node, synced it up, started their own light wallet server, and connected their Zashi to their personal light wallet server. So yeah, they own the entire, I suppose, stack. And yeah, this is something that anyone can do. And so when you combine permissionless private payments with services like Meile DVPN, or like payments for gift cards, or like food deliveries or whatever, yeah, this is like the society that we're looking for, where anyone is free to spend where they like without feeling oppression or being censored, essentially. um yeah, maybe a kind of curveball. What was the last thing that Sentinel or Meile DVPN paid for with private payments?
Well, I pay every month. I have server bill dues, or I have server bills that are due, and so I constantly pay in crypto all the time. Like, I think 90% of my payments for my infrastructure is in crypto. Mostly, most of the payment gateways use CryptoMos as their payment gateway, or most of the online VPS and dedicated servers use CryptoMos. And so I usually use, because Zech is not integrated into CryptoMos right now, and I mentioned that to you guys, that you should reach out to them to get integration, because they have taken over the online services payment gateway landscape. And so normally I pay in either Litecoin MWeb. I have a nice MWeb balance on Cake Wallet, or I pay in Monero. About 3 years ago, when I started running VPSs, uh, I don't remember what payment gateway I was using through the services, but Zech was a major uh, was a major use on those payment gateways. So I was using Zech a lot back in 2022 and 2023. And actually, I bought my gold backs and my silver bullions in Zech. There's a website, Defy the Grid. They have their own payment gateway with Zech. And then so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I bought my gold backs and my silver in Zech, and that was really cool. So, I mean, I've been using Zech for a long time, but most of my payments, except for Hetzner, because Hetzner is a little challenged. Hetzner, I had to give my ID. I've been on Hetzner for, I don't know, 9 years. So they wanted my ID way back then. So I just kept that service going, and I pay with my business credit card there. But other than that, about 90% of my payments are paid with privacy coins.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, also I've used privacy coins to buy BERT, and also definitely a load of BERT. It's been like really, really beneficial to be able to buy BERT. I've well, interestingly, this is a kind of origin story of me, like way back in the end of 2017. I wasn't actually involved with Sentinel. This is when I was kind of waking up. I was actually met a couple of guys from off the internet in this weird thing that I was getting involved with cryptocurrencies, and one was actually using kind of Zcash then and kind of explaining like what he was doing with it and paying for it. And yeah, one of the things that Freaking kind of has said as well is paying for VPS servers, and there was quite a few node hosts on the Sentinel network who were paying for a cache nodes, if I'm correct. They're paying for a cache nodes and cloud nodes to run DVPN nodes and paying with privacy coins of Zec and Merino as well. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of ways. I mean, even going from for exit nodes as well, that's a perfect way to kind of use it. Have a exit node as if you're paying for something completely anonymous. Too late to even say it. If you can pay it on there using privacy coins, then it kind of puts like another level of abstraction away and kind of helps people be able to kind of browse a lot better. I can see Ranko is determined to keep hitting that hands up button. So I'll STF you.
Yeah, let's get Ranko on.
Hello, guys. Hello. Nice to meet all of you. I want to share my story. So, as a person who lives in Russia right now, I'm hugely dependent on networking privacy and financial privacy. Let's break it down. So, if you want to connect to Discord, VPN needed. If you need to connect to X, VPN needed. You need to connect to Slack, maybe for working discussions, VPN needed. And there are a bunch of services which you can't access. And in terms of if you're working with foreign companies, of course, you can't accept payment as a plain text. I think probably most of you saw a post recently from, I don't know his name. So the main context of the post, so there was a guy who got paid by another guy. And the guy who got paid, he was just like, let me browse on Explorer, where's the funds are coming from. And he realized that the person who paid him has a lot of money, and he started asking like, bro, why do you have so much money? And this person was like talking about it on Reddit, like why people see all my traces in blockchain like so easily. I mean, like it can't be so like clear to everyone because it's like financial records. And this post got a massive impact, probably around 1.5 million views or something on X. And this such kind of posts making me realize that the privacy is something that in next year and next 2 years or like next decade will be resold by a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of just average users. And regarding the financial privacy, actually, I recently downloaded a Zashi app, and I was amazed. Like that's probably one of like 0.001% of other wallets that say you clearly that if you want to show balance of your coins in USDC, or like in USD, the conversion will require a request from your IP. And if you want to send money, if you want to just update balance, the request will be sent from your real IP to some third party or the wallet provider, and they say it clearly, and they advise you to use Tor network to protect your like entry IP from like sending requests. And it was like, so I was, to be honest, I was so amazed by that, and I was like, dang, I want to apply to a job at Zashi Wallet. And I found their site. I found the application for probably, well, there was a community manager or technical support. I was like, let me drop a CV to them and resume because I want to help it. And what makes me happy about to be in community of privacy coins is because, like, for example, if you are in traditional finance or like DeFi projects, the most thing people care about is like their own money, and very rarely people care about the network state of money, like how they operate, is it safe at overall. But in privacy, it's like a problem of every person and communication between people, and it makes people really be close to each other in terms of helping each other. So like, for example, from Zcash wallet, I made a post, and Boston Zcash, he's in the room right now. He just reposted my post about like my Zashi Z address QR code, and he like quote retweeted to his feed, and I was like, also like people really this helpful. I was really amazed by that, and I such things realizing I mean such things makes clear to me that privacy communities are really very tight together, and in this state it's impossible to not make it better for coming like 5 years 10 years, because when people are so tight to each other and they always communicating and helping each other, they're always an outcome of better privacy for everyone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
a fight, right? It's a
Like-
fight, and we're all in this together, right? So that's one of the things is I can't stand all these Monero people and Zcash people fighting with each other because I'm like, dude, we're all on the same team here. Like, that's we got to build this future for not just us, but for the society writ large, right? So we should all be banding together. And I think, as Renko says, that yeah, privacy communities are very tight knit. We definitely we're like brothers in this space.
Yeah, I think there's a really good reason as to why as well. Because the way shielded pools work is your transactions are indistinguishable from other transactions, and the privacy set, like the amount of privacy you have with any single transaction you make, is that of the entire set of transactions that have happened in the past, right? They're all the same, they all look the same to an outside observer, and so the more transactions happen within the shielded pool, like the safer it gets for everyone. And similarly, the more people are running nodes on Meile DVPN, um, the better the overall safety for everyone that uses the service. Um, yeah, I'm actually pretty interested to dig into like how privacy projects can work together. You mentioned that Sentinel is a Cosmos chain, a Cosmos L1, and Melee accepts native IBC payments. Um, and so, yeah, we work closely with Namada and Penumbra. And so, is there any work planned to kind of accept native private payments through IBC from these ZK chains?
Yeah, so I reached out about, I think it was 2 months ago or so, to um, host a relayer. They're a validator community. They're called Crypto Crew, and they're validators in Cosmos ecosystem as a whole. And they run a lot of relayers between the different chains. And so I reached out to them to get their understanding of what it would take to get a relayer between, say, Namada and Sentinel. This would enable payments of shielded Namada to nodes on Sentinel, and nodes could accept Namada, the Namada coin, if there is a relayer between the two blockchains. So this is something I've been in discussion with. It's on pause at the moment because of the cost of the infrastructure needed to require that and the cost of the services. So hopefully, when the market improves a little bit more, we can fund that integration. And also, this is something I talked with. I also talked to him about Penumbra, because Penumbra is fully shielded, right? They don't have like T addresses, but Penumbra is, in my opinion, is a really cool network. They did a lot of work, and it's a really neat network, and I'd love to get both Namada and Penumbra relayers set up to Sentinel. So this is something in the works right now, and hopefully we can get something next year. The earlier the better, but we're definitely on it.
Yeah, I think the great thing about those chains is that you can have other assets on Namada. Like you can have USDC in Penumbra or in Namada. And so this really helps like remove friction from native payments. I think one of the reasons why native crypto payments has struggled to like become widespread mass adoption is because they're so volatile. Like people don't know exactly how much money they have. If they spend it one day, maybe they're like regretting it tomorrow or something. Um, and so yeah, when you can pay natively in like stablecoin, it really helps. Um, and yeah, for anyone that hasn't tried Zashi, you can actually pay from Zcash into any other asset. So you can pay from your shielded Zec balance into USDC on Solana, say. And it's one of the really, I think it's one of the main reasons why Zcash has like become so popular lately is because people are finally able to pay into like DeFi services or to pay into like real world payments um a bit easier.
Actually, I have one question regarding the ZEC and their near intense integration. So, just a question from community perspective: how big the influence was on ZEC once they got accepted on near intense? Because like I see it in my feed line a lot, and I wanted to know like your like view on that.
It was massive, pretty big. There was a post, maybe I can find it, or I'll post it into the replies of this space after we finish. And it shows the rise of shielded pool, right? The amount of Zec stored within the shielded pool, and it shows like the sapling launch, orchard launch, and near intense. And as soon as near intense was integrated with, or as soon as they integrated Zcash, there was like a massive spike in the amount of Zcash transactions and the amount of Zec stored privately. And so, yeah, interoperability was huge, and we're very grateful for Near.
Sentinel, please, we need that.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Yep. So I suppose, yeah, closing up, where can people learn more about how to run Melee? Was it easy to do the BTC Pay Orchard integration with Melee?
Yeah. So I when Vito came into my channel a week ago and requested it, very politely, he wasn't demanding or anything, but the first attempt that I had with it was I kind of broke my BTC Pay implementation, so I spent the rest of the day fixing it. So the next day I was like, well, I got to give it a second shot. I think there's something I screwed up. So I used the zechub.wiki, which was really thorough documentation. Um, I was using the official documentation from the plugin in BTC Pay, but the zechub wiki was very thorough. And I found out that my environmental variables were all messed up, so I had to clear those out and re-implement them. So it only took me after that, like, I don't know, maybe an hour before it started working. And then because we have the BTC Pay option in Meile already, it's you can just click it and then hit subscribe, and you'll see the option on the website that it brings up to use shielded Zcash as payment.
Glad to hear. And we have the person who actually worked on Orchard for BTC Pay. He's won 337 bytes in the space. Shout out to you. And so yeah, where can people find how to download Melee? And then where can people learn more about Sentinel?
So you can go to mathnodes.com, and you'll see the link right for Meile. That shows everything that we do in the Cosmos with our validators and our snapshots and everything that we do. But there's a dedicated page to Meile And then for Sentinel, there's docs.sentinel.co, and that'll tell you how to run nodes. And check out the Sentinel website. It's really cool. They have a map of all the nodes and the different countries they're in. They also have statistics at stats.sentinel.co, which is really cool. You get to see the network progression over the last 4 years, but maybe Sentinel can speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, yeah, sentinel.co and docs.sentinel.co well, some of the best are the best places to kind of learn more. I mean, specifically on DVPN, go to sentinel.co and you'll be able to see all the different VPN services that are on there. Obviously, Meile DVPN, as you're here, and like Norse Labs, they're one of the kind of big kind of contributors of the Sentinel network itself. They've got an app called the DVPN app. There's multiple others. There's all focusing on different things, but go and check it out. It's super easy to use and super simple as well. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we actually I'm on the website right now, metabase.mathnodes.com. I've just before the space I was checking out some of the metrics. And yeah, like it's completely free. Anyone can sign up. And yeah, we actually have a DAO as well, Cosmos DAO. And so yeah, maybe we could put up a proposal to like acquire some Sentinel, or if anyone's willing to donate Sentinel, we could start playing around with setting up nodes. With that, if you're interested to learn more about Zechub, go to zechub.wiki, or you can use the Discord link. You can go to discord.gg/zcash and try Zashi. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. It's been a great space. And yeah. See you
Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.